Hello and welcome back to the United Devils podcast. This is back with Grenada.
I think you froze, Arjun.
Hello, apologies for that. Sorry, awful technical connection. But we'll just start from the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're just going to be looking at United's 2 wins against Brighton and Granada. Transfer rumours which constantly flow in throughout the season, but some crucial ones for United, and then looking ahead to the game against Spurs tomorrow and the second leg against Grenada. With me today is Prashanth, and it just seems to be just you and me for the most of these podcasts, but we'll keep going with the Brighton game, which we actually both predicted a 2-1 win, and I think I predicted a 2-0 win for Grenada. You predicted slightly narrower, and it probably could have been because they defended so well. But we'll talk about Brighton first. Going a goal down, the way we went to goal down was a really... it was a bit of quality from Brighton, but not the best from us. Pogba giving the ball away, Wan-Bissaka and Lindelof not quite dealing with the header, and just unlucky from Dean Henderson because he made a great save and then it just went straight back to Welbeck. But the fight back in the second half shows how good we are, quality-wise. Great finish from Rashford, great pass from Bruno. Somewhat fortunate assist from Pogba to a Greenwood header. That his first header for United and just his 6th goal this season, but certainly a crucial one. Let's talk about just the whole game. It seemed like shaking off the rust did take its time, didn't it?
Yeah, totally. We weren't great right from the word go. It was a bit of a cagey game from both teams, especially Brighton. But Brighton started very brightly, and I don't know what's the narrative. It's always the former player who has to score against us. To be very honest with you, I wasn't very impressed with Dean Henderson. He made some blunders even while collecting the ball during corners. And I was like, if it was David Daya who did the same, the press would be after him, saying that, oh my God, he's playing in the Premier League for so long, he still can't collect the ball. But I haven't seen anything of that sort for Dean Henderson. Of course, he made a great reflective save, and which Welbeck scored. But I for a minute was not convinced that he was comfortable being a goalkeeper at that day, because there were a lot of miscommunications between him and Maguire as well for the pass, where he directly passed it to the midfield instead of Maguire, so on and so forth. So like you rightly said, it's probably just shaking off the rust, but deservingly we won it. And where would this Man United team be without Paul Pogba? I don't know what the summer holds for us.
Yeah, we might have to talk about that in a bit. But what I will say on Dean Henderson is, obviously he'd been given the nod. There was going to be a huge decision about the goalkeepers. David De Gea back from small paternity leave, I guess. But it seems that Dean Henderson's going to be the number one goalkeeper. De Gea is going to be playing in the Europa League, which I don't have a problem with. I thought Henderson was really great before the international break. Sorry?
I do have a problem with that, Arjun, very honestly.
Okay.
You don't do that in mid-season. You do it at the start.
Well, it's almost like, I mean, I think if you remember with Lukaku and Rashford, when Oli first came in, actually, I think that
Lukaku to the right wing, and then Rashford took more.
Oh no, not that bit. I mean, it was more that Lukaku was given some leave because I think his father was really ill, and Rashford was given the chance to start, and then Rashford started very well, and then Rashford was quite hard to displace until the end of the season came collapsing down. But other than that, I mean, Rashford was fantastic. He was in great form. He was January Player of the Month and scored winners against Spurs and sealed the game against Newcastle, all sorts of things. But I think that was the whole plan with Dean Henderson, is that De Gea was given leave, and I think it was the right decision, give him leave so he can be with his newborn child and I think wife or partner. But then Dean Henderson was given the chance. He did well with his chance, and so you do that. But I guess the fact is that it's going to be an interesting summer that way, and we've talked about that. I think me and Joe actually did one a while ago where we said it's not going to be nice because one of these good goalkeepers, great goalkeepers, is going to leave this club in the summer, and that was we always came to that conclusion. And it's sad that it's looking like it's going to be David De Gea over Dean Henderson. It's going to be sad because he's one of my favourite players. He's been saving us season in, season out. Sorry.
I know, right? I mean, David De Gea has pulled off things which I don't think anyone else could have done it for us. And this is how we are probably going to end it.
Yeah,
that's strictly business.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing, is that you want these kind of players to like retire and finish their season on a high and finish their career on a high. I think they have to give him a testimonial because it would have been his 10th year. And I think if they give him a testimonial, maybe he'll stay for one more season. But if he chooses to leave at the end, then give him his testimonial, give him that farewell in front of fans, hopefully, as well. That would be, really great. And then, that would be at least something to cherish. But I can see him leaving if he's unhappy being number 2, which you would expect him to be, being I think 30, 31. You'd expect him to want to play more, but we'll see.
I honestly still think that Dean Henderson isn't ready to be number 1.
Okay.
He can be England's number 1 because that's Jordan Pickford. So of course he's better than Jordan Pickford, no doubt about it.
Well, Nick Pope's there as well, and Nick Pope actually played all those.
I still have this question to people who say that Dean Henderson should be number 1 and David De Gea has passed his prime. For a minute, if I just rewind my head and think, which Premier League club will Dean Henderson start? He's not going to start at City because Ederson is miles better. Is he going to replace Alisson? I don't think so.
Chelsea, is he going to Arsenal?
No, neither. If I look at Leicester City, Kasper Schmeichel, I don't think he's replacing him.
Great.
For me, one of the best goalkeepers this season has been Emiliano Martinez. Is he good enough to replace Emiliano Martinez? Okay, fair. You can give that. Is he better than Nick Pope at Burnley? No chance. Then how is he ready to be Man United number 1?
I think the thing is that one thing I have noticed is that the defence does look more comfortable playing out from the back under Henderson than they are De Gea, because De Gea is obviously having to adapt, whereas that is how Henderson played for Sheffield United and all sorts. But it is going to be a transition which is going to make or break them. And I think if Henderson has a chance and he impresses in these last 8 games, then I have no problem with him being our number 1 goalkeeper if he impresses.
It's the same scenario like Romero, No matter what you do, at the end of the day, it's business. So you're just asked to go. And what's irking me right now is just what Paul Scholes said. You don't do this in mid-season. This is the absolute wrong time to do, because then it starts affecting the morale of the squad as well. Because right now, they are in a dilemma thinking who's going to start at the back, because the centre back doesn't know. And it's not a great sign.
Well, yeah, I think there is that.
I'm sorry, Arjun, I lost your audio. No.
How about now?
Now you're back. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. So I don't know what's happening with my Wi-Fi today, but yeah. I can see how it would affect it could affect the team, but it could also make or break it. I think it's just going to be one of those risks that you have to try. Ollie made a decision, and what's the thing is that he's probably going to stick to it unless something, cataclysmic happens, really. But it's just going to be one of those decisions that either going to be the right decision or the wrong decision, and we'll just have to see at the end of the season, because that's the only time you can really review it. But one player we do need to talk about is Harry Maguire, 100th appearance for Manchester United in less than 2 seasons. I think you said just before we started, Eric Bailly's done the same in 5-6 years. So
4-5 years, yeah. He came into Mourinho, right? So
2016. Sorry, so 5 years. 5 years. So that says a lot about how important Maguire has been. I think one thing I would say is that a lot of the reasons why he's been criticised is his pace, which is one of the biggest limitations in his game, but he knows that, and that's why he's become better at his awareness, his sort of defensive positioning, and the other thing is his price tag, because he's the most expensive centre back in the world right now. And United didn't do him any favours. Leicester didn't do him any favours. If he'd have cost the 65 million that they were reporting in 2018, he would be undeniably a successful signing. No one would have had any issue with him. But the fact he cost them that amount of money, he's not an 85 million pound defender. Let's not beat around
kid
the
ourselves with that.
Yeah. He's still a crucial, important player to United and a great defender, I think.
And for England.
For England, yes. Would you agree? He's been a success.
Of course, I still wouldn't call him a success.
Sure.
Yeah, until unless he stands up and puts his hand up and shows more responsibility as a leader, I wouldn't call him a success. Trophies are secondary as of now for Harry Maguire, but I think to be a Man United captain and a leader, you need that. So you need a Bruno-esque attitude. I haven't seen that from Harry Maguire.
I think he does. He does sort of not. He's not quite as. He's not vocal. I think the thing is that you can have someone like a deputy like Bruno that does that kind of. It's almost like pitbull like attitude.
I know.
Maguire's more. You hear him. You hear the touch side videos that you hear that they send out on YouTube and they put out on. I think it's on TikTok or something. I don't know, but they have that, and you hear Maguire talking. You hear him shouting and arguing with the referees and all sorts. You do see him do that captain side.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to get at the point is that I still don't find any assurance with Maguire. Okay, I know that there will be this odd moment in the game where he will be beaten. I still don't have that great assurance. For example, let's say tomorrow United are going to play Spurs. I know for a matter of time fact that Harry Kane would do what he always does: stand facing his back to Maguire. He will do it, and I'm sure Maguire knows it, but still he can't avoid it. That's my problem. When you know that you have a limitation and someone is going to play in your weak channel, just avoid it. Play high line, let him go.
But then everyone has weaknesses. You look at the Tottenham side. Think about Van Dijk. Van Dijk's weakness is that everybody else around him isn't that good. I can't really think of one of his weaknesses except for maybe.
Exactly. That's exactly my point.
But he's not Van Dijk. He's not Van Dijk. And people say compare him to Rio Ferdinand. Rio Ferdinand was one of the best centre backs of English in England at the time. He's I think probably one of the best centre backs in the Premier League that we've ever seen. So comparing him to someone that's that brilliant, when we know Maguire's not a generational centre back. Okay, that's not. Van Dijk is a generational centre back. Sergio Ramos, generational centre back. Maguire's not that. We know that, but and yet, so that's why we compare him to someone like Virgil van Dijk, like Rio Ferdinand, like John Terry, for example, and he's
Ricardo
not that.
Carvalho.
Ricardo Carvalho, Paolo Maldini, all sorts.
Yeah,
but
for me, what's the biggest problem for me with Maguire is the fact that he still doesn't adapt very quickly. Sometimes the game calls. So, for example, let's take the example of Sevilla game in the Europa League last year, where we got out. He knew Brandon Williams was on the weaker side. It's not his strongest end. I expect a leader to cover for him, which he didn't. Okay, that's one. You talk about games where you know that, for example, the big games where we have drawn this year, for example, Liverpool. I saw Lindelof taking more responsibility than Harry Maguire. Of course, Harry Maguire had a brilliant game. There is no two ways about it. But you see a sense of responsibility which Lindelof has, in spite of his limited capabilities. If I compare Lindelof and Maguire, right, Maguire is at least 5 times better than Lindelof in terms of his natural ability to defend. Lindelof shows more of a grafter who's been taught the art of defending, while for Maguire it's very natural. Another problem with Maguire, for me personally, what I think is he's good for a 3-5-2 or a 3-4-3 setup, where he gets that ample of space to look, aware, and then judge. In a back four, he does not have space. Now think about it: we are playing a two-man midfield in order to protect two centre backs.
I mean, we played Pogba and McTominay against against Granada. We played Pogba and Fred against Brighton, and I thought they were quite happy with it. I think with Brighton, their one area of strength was their crosses and the overlaps from their wing backs.
Arjun, we are talking of teams. We are talking of two teams. One who's managing to survive in Premier League, and Granada, who's having the worst run. What do we do when we play City?
Well, when we played City, they have
Liverpool
front three. They have their two attacking against City at the Etihad. They had they didn't do their two DMs to stop Bruno. They went for the kill, and they picked was it Foden? It wasn't Foden, was it? It was De Bruyne, Gundogan.
To the left end,
De Bruyne, Gundogan, Sterling, Mahrez, and Jesus. So they played one of their strongest attacking sides.
Okay, I'm counting teams against big games. Okay, we are so pragmatic. We want to protect our back four, and we started this after the Spurs game, the 6-1 hammering. That's when we started deploying the absolute two kind of a pitbull kind of a midfield, like you may call it. Before that, we played like a 4-1-3-2, and we kept changing 4-4-2, 4-3-3. But the Spurs game was an indication that my centre backs are okay, but they need protection.
See, I would disagree with that. I would think that it's more about the defensive midfielder side. I think that there's the fact that Pogba needs someone who is a little bit more defensive than McTominay and Fred. Fred is good, but he can't play out. McTominay is robust, but he likes to get further forward, and so he can't always get back in time. He's not got that yard of pace that Fred has. So you have to have them both in order
But where has been Paul Pogba's best performances come this year? Which position? On the left wing?
Well, no, against Burnley and Fulham, he was in a midfield too with
number 6
and Fred.
He was in number 6 then, not even number 8. Right? And his best performance this year has mostly been on the left-hand side. And who plays in that channel? Rashford, Luke Shaw, and him. So your midfield is non-existent. It's more of the forward play who are making space for Pogba, where they understand that Pogba needs that extra space for him to take a shot or pass. So if I have to single out Fred and McTominay, they aren't doing any dirty work. They're doing football to the basics, which is what is most important for us. I'm not going to take out that importance away from them. They're doing a good job, but they're doing very basic stuff. What Wilfred Ndidi does for Leicester is what both of these two people do, and he does it alone.
Yeah, exactly, and I think that's how Leicester have been so successful. They've allowed Tielemans to get forward in that sort of Pogba box-to-box role, but more
someone like Harvey Barnes drops back and helps Ndidi when there is a lot of pressure. For example, the game against Spurs, right? Harvey Barnes dropped back because I think Højbjerg was all over Ndidi, and it was Harvey Barnes who kind of played that dirty role, pushed him, took the ball, ran, all those sort of stuff.
And Bruno will do that for us as well. And James does that for us perfectly.
Bruno would do that for us if he's not marked.
If he's not marked, yes.
And it's Mourinho, right? And if it's Mourinho or Pep, they will mark him. I mean, any sane team in the world will mark him. Pep did mark him with 2 men. Pep marked him with 2
in the Carabao Cup game.
Yeah, Carabao Cup, right? He marked with Fernandinho and Cancelo, 2 of the possibly smartest game readers in City side. Because they know that Bruno is not about pace. Bruno is about awareness. And Bruno is all about that iota of movement of players. He clearly knows that. What Mourinho will do, what I think Mourinho will do is he'll just ask Højbjerg to sit on Bruno Fernandes. He'll just tell him that don't let him touch the goddamn ball.
Yeah, I can absolutely agree with that. And we'll talk more about how to break down Spurs in just a bit. But we'll sort of slightly go back to the Brighton game. And more about what it meant than the actual result. 3 points makes us on 60 points this season. We just need 7 points now from 8 games in order to do better than the last 2 seasons.
I don't want to do the math. I did the math. 1 point in 2 games. No, you're not doing the math.
Well, we need 7 wins from 8 in order to level our best season points tally since Sir Alex Ferguson retired. And if we win 8 out of 8, which obviously would be a huge achievement, it would be a huge task even, would get us our highest points tally total, 84 points, which would be higher than any manager in United since Sir Alex Ferguson retired as well.
We are going to face Spurs, Burnley, Leeds, Liverpool, Aston Villa, Leicester, Wolves. Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be easy.
Of course not, no. But if we do it, it would be a big statement made. And the thing is that comparison to the other top 4 teams, we're 4 points away ahead of Leicester. We're 8 points ahead of West Ham in 4th. We're 9 points ahead of Chelsea in 5th. And we could, if we beat Spurs on Sunday, end their Champions League chances, because then we're already 11 points ahead of them, and we could make it 14, which would be massive. So,
in other news, Leeds are leading 1-0 against City.
Wonderful news.
And a red card.
And a red card. Who got sent off?
Liam Cooper.
Oh, for Leeds. Oh, they're going to lose then. That's a shame. Hopefully I've jinxed that though, but we'll see. Yeah, I mean, the thing is that, do you think top 4's done for us?
No.
9 points not enough.
We can sleepwalk this. We know how bad we can screw up, and we have seen it time and again. For me, top 4 is not over until and unless we play the final game of the season. Even if it's not mathematically possible for other 3 to catch up, but I still don't want to go into that whole complacency mode. I rather want us, like you just rightly said, 8 games, 8 wins. Treat every game as a final, and keep an eye on Europa League.
Yeah, well, I think we need to win it.
Yeah, there is nothing else left for us now. We need that Europa League now, and the Europa League is more important for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer than for Manchester United, because if someone says, "What have you done in your tenure at Man United?" he can't say, "I steadied the ship." He has to say something more than that, or he can't say that I bottled 5 semi-finals, I got out of the Champions League, etc. There has to be a trophy to his name. He deserves it.
Yeah, he does. He really does. And so did the team. Maguire to lift it, Bruno to win something,
Pogba to win something again.
Pogba, Lindelof, Wan-Bissaka, Shaw. Shaw hasn't been on the pitch for a single one of our trophies we've won since Sir Alex Ferguson retired, and that's just really sad. He deserves it. He deserves it. So, we do need to win the Europa League, and we'll talk about that game that we've made huge strides in the Europa League after winning 2-0 in Granada. Goals from Rashford again and Bruno again sealed the win. It was a tough game because they have a great defensive shape, but they switched off for one moment. Lindelof with a beautiful pass, Rashford with a great touch and goal. It's almost identical. Huh?
Sorry? The cruise pass.
Yeah, the cruise pass. Yeah, and it's the same pass he did against Sheffield United that unlocked the game as well. And then one of their players decided to elbow Bruno in the face, and the yellow card, penalty, Poppadom hands from the goalkeeper, and 2-0 lead. It's a crucial game. Needed to win the game, and it means that we can rest a few players, but it also means a few players are suspended for.
Shaw, Pogba, and McTominay, right? All 3 are suspended.
Maguire, Shaw, and McTominay. Pogba's not suspended; he just got booked. But
okay, fine. Sorry. Yeah,
but I wouldn't expect him to play. I would probably see.
My goodness, what are you saying? Which means Maguire is going to get a rest for a change.
Yeah, Maguire's forced into it. He did it on purpose, obviously. He did it on purpose. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see that team selection. But I can see United resting a few, but I wouldn't expect Diallo to start or something like that. But I mean, I would probably see Van der Beek maybe. You never know, but Van der Beek probably. Fred and Matic could come in, but it depends on how the Spurs game goes. Because if the game goes well, then maybe they can rest Bruno and maybe start him. I don't want to see Rashford playing against Granada, not at all, not even a little bit. But I'm
okay if I see Dan James on both wings. I'm okay with it. Play
Let's play.
Tangents twice.
And up front.
Yeah, up front. I don't care. But don't play him. Don't play Rashford again.
Yeah, not against Grenada, no, because we need him fit for the rest of the season. We need him,
and he's been a clutch player in the most important moments of United since Alex Ferguson, and that's a big statement. So Rashford injury, I can't take it anymore. I mean, he's the guy who all our hopes are pinned on two people, Rashford and Bruno. I can't see either of them, getting injured. That elbow to Bruno, I just looked at the referee and I was like, you gave yellow for all the fouls, but not a red for this. If it was Marouane Fellaini, you would have. If it was Marouane Fellaini, you would have just banned him from playing football all his life.
Yeah. I think I saw a stat at half time, which was like, we had 6 fouls, got 3 yellow cards. They had 8 and had 1. And it wasn't their one. And they had 8 players who could have been suspended for the second game, and none of them got a yellow card for. Gonalons was just fouling everyone left, right, and centre. I don't get it. I didn't get it. But yeah, I mean, when you look at the teams the results that happened in the Europa League. I mean, Roma beat Ajax at home.
Slavia Prague drew with Arsenal.
I mean, the one time everyone wants Arsenal to win a game against the team that's defending their racist player, I guess, and then they can't even do it at home. It's painful.
And I still don't understand. Slavia Prague sold 2 of the best players, Souček and Kufel, to West Ham.
Yeah. I know.
And I kept telling to an Arsenal friend, you had one job, just beat them.
Yeah. We just had a comment from Suraj. If Dan James plays on both flanks, he can use his pace to get on the end of his own overhit crosses. Yeah. That towering header against, I think it was the Czech Republic.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he'll be absolutely fine. But I think you're right. I mean, they lost a lot of their good players, but they still beat Leicester, and then they beat Rangers, who were in great form.
Football. They play good football, and make no mistake of that. It's not about their pressing. They actually wait for you to hit, and they don't sit back. So they play man to man. To be very honest, they play man to man, and they start with 3 at the back mostly, but their fullbacks usually go as a 5. So that back becomes a 5, and then it becomes 5-2-3-1.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, that game's up for grabs because Arsenal could turn up, win 3-0 in Prague and do it, but they could also just cause an upset, and Arsenal can miss all their chances like they did the Emirates. But
Arsenal can do what they want. It's always on them. I completely agree with what Bellerin said that no team has beaten them. They have lost themselves. Yeah,
that's absolutely true. And then you've got Roma, like I said, that have beaten Ajax and Amsterdam. They'd be who we'd play if they can keep their good form in Italy, and it'd be a reunion with Mkhitaryan and Chris Smalling. So we'll see how that turns out.
I don't want to see both of them, to be honest.
Former United players always turn up against us. It's just
exactly, and especially Mkhitaryan.
He scored for Arsenal against us as well. The one time he played against us, he scored.
Yeah.
But, what is it? Then there's Villarreal, Emery's team. I can't remember who they played against, but they won Dinamo Kiev. They won 1-0, Gerard Moreno, but they're a good team as well. They actually beat Grenada 3-0 at the weekend just before we played.
Good evening.
Sorry?
Good evening.
Yes. Because there's so many things, because it could be a reunion with Van der Beek, it could be the reunion with Smalling and Mkhitaryan for us, and then it could be the Emery derby in the semi-final, Villarreal versus Arsenal. You never know. And then whoever we get is going to be
honestly speaking, Arjun, I'm not even looking at that far. I'm just looking at tomorrow's game. That's where my eyes are, because I honestly don't know what kind of United turn up in what game. So absolutely. I have zero expectation. So I've seen this team beat the best pressing team in Leipzig for fun, 5-0.
Yeah.
We just turned them into a joke. And then I saw the same team got beaten against Sheffield United, who's having the worst season in Europe. Entire Europe, they were searching for a win, and we gave them that. So I have no hopes from the team. So what I'm doing is I'm looking at one game at a time.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. There are a lot of good teams left in Europa. There is no two ways about it. But I honestly don't want to think much about it, because right now I just want to put this first game to bed, because that 6-1 still hurts.
Yeah. Yes. And we'll talk more about that in just a second, because it's so crucial to get revenge. It's so crucial. I mean, the mind games already started between Mourinho and Oli in the press conferences yesterday. But we'll get onto that in just a second. Right now, we talk about our poll results, which was talking about if Cavani leaves and whether he will leave, who do we get to replace him? Is it going to be all the talk is Erling Haaland, but 150 million euros is way out of our competence of board. But it's Harry Kane.
I like how you said it's way out of competence of our board.
Yeah,
rather than saying the money is too much. But yeah, fair enough.
The money is too much, but we wouldn't be able to get it sorted anyway. But then there's Harry Kane, who's just said that if Spurs don't make the Champions League, that he will force a move out and could be.
Has he said that officially?
It's like reports indicate sort of thing, but I don't know. I mean, it seems like it makes sense. It makes sense because
it makes sense, but it doesn't. I don't believe it, honestly speaking, because. I don't know if you watched Monday Night Football, what Gary Neville said about Harry Kane. He said that there will be some players who may not want to win, but their biggest dream would be to become the best player their club has ever seen. You never know with Harry Kane. Possibly he might want to beat Jimmy Greaves' record and be the highest goal scorer for Spurs. Not win anything, I'm absolutely fine with it. Having said that, there's a player like Matt Letizia, right? Played all his life at Southampton, still a legend of the Premier League. We don't say he's a bad player because he didn't win anything. But I do understand that someone like Harry Kane and the kind of potential what he has, the man is just one level below Lewandowski, and that's the biggest compliment I could pay for Harry Kane, because Lewandowski is a serious goal scorer and a level just below Lewandowski for a team which is managed by Mourinho, which means you're only going to get one chance in a game, you have to score it. That's a phenomenal thing. But I don't see him leaving, and if he leaves, I don't think he's joining any Premier League club. Daniel Levy will sell his kidneys. He'll sell the entire Spurs stadium, but he will make sure Harry Kane does not join any Premier League team. He's not going to do that.
No, I think if
he's not a Roman Abramovich where he's okay where his rivals take his players. He's not that.
Well, I don't know who.
After all that, right, Arjun, do you really think we are in a position to do business with Spurs after the whole Berbatov saga? No chance.
Berbatov, Carrick.
That's it. We sold Zeki Friars to them, Ezekiel Friars to them as a youth deal. They sold them left back. That also was a drag, right? We tried to sign Dele Alli from Spurs, rumored under Mourinho, didn't happen.
We tried to sign Kane. Van Gaal wanted him.
Yeah, not happening. We can't do business with Spurs. There's no chance we're doing business with Spurs. I am still optimistic that we can spend 150 million and sign Erling Braut Haaland, but Harry Kane for 75 million or 100 million or even 500 million, Daniel Levy will not sell to Man United.
Well, in that case, then the other option is we sign a natural right winger that can play as a right winger, like Jadon Sancho, like Kingsley Coman, Sorry?
Don't jinx it.
Just saying we could sign them, touch wood, but and then we say to Mason Greenwood, right, you're going to be number 9 to compete with Anthony Martial. Off you go and prove why you should start over him.
And then wrong, right? You're going to compete with Anthony Martial.
No, I think Martial will bounce back. It's fine.
Okay, fine. I'll jokes apart. Okay, I'll be very honest with you.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with Anthony Martial, him not scoring. My problem with the whole narrative is that when will you have a successful 2 season? You want to lead the line for Man United, which is probably the most iconic position, but you still can't have a consistent game. Even in your best season last year, you went missing in big games. I mean, you didn't score in all games. Your goal tally will show you had 22, 24 goals, but were you there in crunch moments? You weren't there. Rashford was there. Right.
I mean, he was there, I think, Martial. I mean, he was scoring the the one game where I say he wasn't there for is that Liverpool game where he missed big chance.
An open goal. I'm not saying open, but he should have buried it.
2 against Chelsea. One crucial header to open the scoring against Chelsea. A sealer at Old Trafford against Chelsea. 2 winners against Manchester City. Let me think what else.
Is that your definition of a number 9 of Manchester United?
I mean, I think he's adapted his game excellently. I mean, you think about that man of the match performance against City earlier this year, the 2-0 win. He was bullying Ruben Diaz, who hadn't been bullied all year, really. He'd been.
I wouldn't use the word bullying, but I would use the word he played it to his strengths, where Ruben Diaz thought he's unassailable, so he played it to Martial. Either ways,
Yeah.
you're right. He had a brilliant game that day. His hold up play was fabulous. All this sort of stuff. But I still don't think he's good enough to be a Man United's number 9 striker. I'll give you a
Okay.
simple example. Mason Greenwood, when played against Granada, was ineffective. I mean, to be very honest with you, as much as we all love Greenwood, we clearly saw he was isolated. He had no chance.
Absolutely.
Enter Edinson Cavani. You clearly saw Granada didn't know how to handle him because he started asking those questions to Granada defenders, which no one had asked for the good 70-75 minutes. Edinson Cavani came, as soon as he came, because of his blindside movements, defenders were starting to get dragged. That's one of the reasons how he won the penalty. Apart from the elbow, we started getting more behind the defenders rather than defenders targeting us. Arjun, I think there are two ways how you play as a striker. One, you beat them by sheer pace, which is what Michael Owen did, Ruud van Nistelrooy did. Not Nistelrooy to a certain extent, Henry did to a certain extent. Sheer pace. The defender is not even near you. Someone like a Kylian Mbappe does. That so much pace, the defender is not even near you and you're just off. Then it's one-on-one, it's your technique, how you finish it. Then there are strikers like Robert Lewandowski, Harry Kane. I'll put Erling Braut Haaland in that same league. They
Zlatan,
actually...
Ronaldo.
I'm not comparing those legends, so-called, because they can play anywhere. I mean, someone like Ronaldo, you can play in left, center, wherever you want. Zlatan, for that matter, also you can play him across the front line, and he'll still be good. But Lewandowski, Kane, and Haaland, if you take them from number 9, they're useless. You can't put them on the right or left wing.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. What they do, they actually wait for, and they see the defenders. They're like, okay, fine, there are 2 defenders. Here is the space. I'll run behind it. I'll go between the space. That can't be taught. Edinson Cavani has been doing this for years, which, of course, is the reason why he's been one of the best strikers at one point of time. Radamel Falcao did it. Okay, that's an art, Arjun. You can't teach it. And I honestly think we are not in a position where we can sign another youngster and then think, what, his game will improve. We'll give him 1 or 2 seasons. It'll be 8 years without Premier League now. We haven't won the Premier League for 8 odd years. It's more than 2013 was the last we won. So
yeah. Well, I mean, I'll say that I agree that look, he's stuck in this period where he doesn't know which kind of striker he wants to be. I can see that because he's bulked up, which is why he's trying to do hold up play and all sorts, and he can do it. But he's also still got his pace. He's still got great finishing ability that he's worked on. And he can also do that role too, which could make him a very complete.
I honestly don't think Martial has got great finishing ability. Martial has got good dribbling ability, because of which he becomes one-on-one with the player. And if you're playing at that level, the least you can expect is to bury the ball.
Yeah.
But if you talk about finishing, you look at Mason Greenwood's finishing. You can't give him space. If you give him space, he will punish you. You don't give space to Rashford.
Yeah.
You don't give space to Paul Pogba.
Yeah.
That is finishing and that is technique. Have you seen a 40-yarder or a 35-yarder from Anthony Martial? No, because that's not his strength. His strength is dribbling. He wants defenders to tackle him. He wants to get behind players. He wants to run between those lines because he knows in 5 or 10 yards, he will bury it. And another problem for me with Anthony Martial is that, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has said it up front, I don't like goal scorers who want to score great goals. I want people who can score the most crappy goal. Break your nose. It's okay. We are there to treat you. Just break your goddamn nose. Get behind that line. And I think he's good enough he was good enough as a striker to judge whether other player has got good finishing ability or not. What made Ruud van Nistelrooy better than Thierry Henry? Like, if you just go back, what made him better? It was not the dribbling. Henry always was a great dribbler. Henry had a great team who could pass. Inside the box, Thierry Henry would not miss it. But what Ruud van Nistelrooy did was he scored that scrappy goal. That dying header when all the defenders are there between. He would just poke his leg. Or he can even score individual goals, like the goal he scored against Fulham. Bait 4-man, get inside the box, outside of his foot, slotted inside the net. Can Anthony Martial do this? I don't know. I think the only header which I remember him clearly taking was the CSK Moscow under Van Gaal, where he just diving header at the end. Of course, he's done multiple headers after that, but that kind of a difference between a scrappy goal scorer and a great goal scorer. I am all in for a scrappy goal scorer. I mean, I don't want someone who can score 50-yarders. here once in a blue moon and then goes missing. I want someone who can give me at least 5 goals in 8 games. That sort of a striker.
Well, he had that season last season, but this season's been something out completely. We would never.
We have a Ballon d'Or clause which ends this season. That if he
it ended 2 years ago.
It'll end this season. We extended it, right? So he had 2 years back. He had a good season. Then he had another blimp. Then we had another season.
Yeah.
So they extended it.
One thing I would say is that his first season for us, he scored 17 goals, which was his highest ever career tally, and then he had a really bad dip, but then he grew back and he got his consistency back up, which is something that we are seeing again this season. He had a confidence dipper at the start of the season with the red card and all sorts, which can affect you, especially when you feel like you've been wrongly treated, which I think he was. But
to be fair to him, he was.
Yeah, and then he missed those games where we were scoring and doing well, and then he has struggled to get back into the team, and so it's going to be. I think
to be honest with you, Arjun, Anthony Martial always reminds me of Fernando Torres. Always, I don't know why. It always reminds me of not in terms of his goal scoring ability and technique. Don't mistake me when I say that. What I'm saying is when Fernando Torres came from Atletico Madrid to Liverpool, almost everyone was like, "Who is this?" We haven't seen this kind of a striker.
Yeah.
After his first year, Fernando Torres's form dipped. When I say dipped, his numbers started going down because people figured out what kind of a striker he was. He had one good game against Vidic and Ferdinand. After that, both of them didn't let him off the hook. Of course, he scored via headers here or there, no doubt about it. But we did not let him off the hook. The same is happening with Anthony Martial. People have figured him out. Mourinho, for example, now clearly knows it, that if it's Anthony Martial, just wind him up. You just need to wind him up because he's temperamental. What Eric Lamela did last time, just wound him up, unnecessarily wound him up. There was no need, and we all saw what happened then, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean that's the thing is that people are finding him out, and like what I'm going to say, I'll make one point on that is that next season, because he's had this dip, it's going to make or break him. If he can get back to the goal scoring form that we saw last season, then he's going to have I think he'll be absolutely fine. If he can't, then I think that might be it for him. But it's going to make or break it because we need to compete for a title. If he can't come up with 10, 20 goals a season, then that's
sometimes
just
I feel bad for goalkeepers, I feel actually bad for goalkeepers in that sense because if this was a goalkeeper who was having this kind of a form, we would have said tata, bye-bye, get lost. But it's a striker. We always give that extra rope, saying that it's just bad form. Just bad.
It's because when a goalkeeper makes a mistake, it normally leads to a goal, and so you feel worse about it than say a striker that will miss, but then will also have another chance.
Ask Rob Green about it, right? Gentleman lost his career because of that mistake against United States.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I think he was young as well. He wasn't like I think he was
23 or 24.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Something like that. It was,
and he was a third choice goalkeeper, not even the second choice.
Yeah, I think that's the manager's fault for rotating the goalkeepers during World Cup games. Stick with in like a small mini competition like that. Stick with your best goalkeeper, and realistically. But we're getting off track. Just last bit on Cavani. Would you keep him for another year or just try get someone else in?
Keep him for another year unless I find a suitable replacement because I don't think there is anyone who can still track his moments in Premier League. It's not because of his one, and it's not a similar playing style what Cavani gives me with Rashford or Greenwood. He's a totally different play, and he can be a plan B. You don't want to be him a plan A, but he can be a plan B because that was one criticism which Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had, right? He didn't have a plan B.
No plan B, yeah, absolutely.
And Edison Cavani is your plan B. It'll be very interesting to see how Ole Gunnar Solskjaer uses Cavani. Does he tell him that, it's only 8 games left for you and your contract? I want you to play all these 8 games. Or will he keep him as a sub and then start Rashford? I don't want him to start Rashford. Yeah. I don't want him to start, but
it's going to be interesting. It's certainly going to be interesting end of the season. What happens?
Because I know fans on Twitter are like, we paid 20 million for this guy and this guy hasn't even played. And I'm like, the amount of time he's played, he's always given you a goal or an assist. But there are some players who are playing. And you look at the Southampton game. He won it on his own. He didn't need anyone.
2 goals and an assist. Absolutely.
Yeah, and how did he create two goals? schoolboy stuff. He went behind two defenders and he stood there waiting for the chance.
Mm,
And we have
absolutely.
not seen a striker of that mold after Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Zlatan did that, right? Moved behind
Yeah.
strikers, waited, header.
Absolutely. He did it against Southampton as well.
Yeah, exactly. He did against Southampton. Yeah, and the free kick, not to forget.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I absolutely agree. I think Cavani should stay another year, give Greenwood a little bit more experience, give Martial a little bit more experience, hopefully. And then you sign Sancho this summer, hopefully, saying hopefully a lot with United, really. But sign him, give him not the number 7 shirt straight away, and then let him earn it from his form, that kind of thing. I think that would work.
Yeah.
That's because that curse has been there since Ronaldo. So, you have to sort it out one way or the
Antonio
other.
Valencia was probably one of the most improved players of his time from what he was at Wigan and at United. The curse jinxed him.
Yeah, and then he had the number 25 shirt. He had the 7 for one season and swapped straight back afterwards, and then he was absolutely fine. But I mean, like Memphis and Di Maria, Michael Owen. I mean, Michael Owen's an anomaly because he was 34 or something like that. But Di Maria was just on the back of a World Cup final.
After that goal at Leicester, I thought
Yeah.
Di Maria would be like the next big thing what United could ever have, because how stupid are Real Madrid to let go of him, etc., etc.
Yeah,
And then went kaput.
and then indeed, but yeah,
And then the
and then
Burgundy.
Memphis was probably one of the most sought after prospects at the time, really. I mean, 21, 22 years old and scoring 20 plus goals for PSV, free kick maestro, Ronaldo-esque sort of technique and everything. And we ruined him. Mourinho just said, right off you pop. And he's doing great for Lyon, but it's Lyon.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't.
His
compare.
contract will end. The interest is from Barcelona to sign him.
Yeah, I think
Because
Koeman wants him.
likes him.
And he likes Wijnaldum. If he signs Wijnaldum and Depay for free, that's a steal.
Yeah, that's
That's a
steal.
steal.
Because then
Anyway.
that Barcelona midfield looks a lot stronger, but the
Yeah.
business looks better.
It does, yeah, because they had a shocker last summer. But
Yeah.
we'll move on because we've not got too much time left. But United versus Spurs, it's a massive game. Time for revenge. Interestingly,
I can't say, come on, lads, it's just Spurs, I just can't say that anymore.
Can't say that anymore. Absolutely. I mean, interesting fact is that the last 3 games have all had penalties for United, but United have then won, then drawn, and then lost. So it's gone downhill from the first win where Rashford got those 2 goals. The time where we beat City and then Spurs, it was a good week. But then
I think that was just after the pandemic, the first game after pandemic, I think.
And that was that one. Yeah, there was that one. But, actually, we did. That was interesting. We played City and then Spurs in December.
Correct.
If you remember, we beat them both.
Yeah.
And then we played City, pandemic, and then Spurs. So I mean,
Spurs.
it was
And because we remember the Amazon documentary where Mourinho said Pogba will do this, and he exactly did that.
He did exactly that. Yeah. Oh dear. Well, I mean, look, they are in awful form. They are a team with no confidence. Apparently, about almost at the breaking point of up in arms over Jose when he keeps saying that they're, same manner.
Let's put it this way, Arjun. They are in the same position as what we were in 2018 after the Europa.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing is that we were in the downfall after that point. I mean, you think about after we beat City, that 3-2 win, everything went downhill from there.
Yeah.
I mean, we drew 0-0 to West Ham, and Jose was just happy with a clean sheet for David De Gea. That was all he was playing for. We lost that game to Brighton and West Brom. That loss to Brighton meant that we'd lost to every single promoted club that season away from home. We'd lost to all 3 of them.
Jose lost the dressing room after the West Ham game. He lost it then because the team wasn't happy in how they were set up.
Yeah.
He lost it. And then Liverpool was the breaking point. Liverpool was like, when we lost to Liverpool, I think all hell broke loose. And then he was sacked. Because I'm sure it led and it led to a point where it had to explode. And it had to be Liverpool. Because I'm sure the management would have told Jose that mate, this is the game. You win this, we will give you a longer rope.
Yeah.
But you bottled this, you're off.
It was the thing is that the game we were drawing for the whole. Well, we got an equaliser at the end of the first half, and then we had 35 minutes where we were still drawing. Pogba was on the bench, didn't come on. Martial came on late. Mata, I think, came on as well. But we played a back five. We could see Liverpool weren't quite at it in the second half. And then they scored 2 deflected goals from Xherdan Shaqiri and win the game. That did it. And
no one knows how. Why? How? No one knows it. But I think it was meant to end. It was a marriage which wasn't very successful. Let's put it that way. Everyone in the world wanted Jose and United because it's always the villain and the most hated club in the world, right? It ideally is a match made in heaven. But I still think more than Moyes, I think Jose was a bigger disaster for us. Of course, Moyes was a disaster. There's no two ways. But Jose left this club with a broken spirit, and that's not a nice sign.
No. I think if he'd have got his players, things might have been better.
Which was Maguire.
Exactly. Everyone forgets that. He wanted Maguire. He wanted, was it Perisic and another striker?
Perisic, yes. All 30-plus players, Mourinho has this fetish, right? He likes players who are 30-plus.
30-plus. Or just solid defensively and, all sorts.
Yeah. Or who played for Chelsea. Willian.
Willian, wanted Hazard as well, but that was never going to happen. So that's the thing, is it's going to be another game where we're going to have to play against them. We know how Spurs are going to play. They're out of form, so they're going to play compact, long ball to Kane, see what him and Son can do, maybe Lucas Moura as well, and we'll just see how that turns out. But they're going to defend at the back, but they have errors in them. Davinson Sanchez is an error waiting to happen. Joe Rodon's inexperienced even. Reguilon likes to get forward, so he'll get caught out if it's Ben Davis. He's slow. If it's Doherty, he'll get caught out. If it's Aurier, he will get caught out. But it's just who turns up, and if Spurs can hold on, if they play in Ndombele and Højbjerg or Sissoko and Højbjerg, it could be anything. I don't know what this game is going to come.
I think key to beat Spurs is only 2 things. One is shut off Harry Kane.
Yep.
Shut off him. You can let Son play alone also because for me, individually, Harry Kane is a bigger threat than Son because Harry Kane doesn't need invitation to score. And he's got this love for big games. Unlike Spurs as a club who chokes in big games, Harry Kane usually does well in big games. The North London derby, he always scores against us. So find out a way and just stop Harry Kane. One. Second, and the most important part in that Spurs team is Højbjerg. Dismantle him, rattle him, don't let him distribute the ball because Mourinho's team does not know how to play well if the midfield is shut. That's how we always were drawing against most teams because our midfield was shut. There was no one who could carry the ball. There was no one who could pass the ball. Pogba wasn't playing well, etc. If Højbjerg doesn't pass the ball, the ball will always be in their defense or a long ball. Okay, there is no other way how Mourinho can play, and he hasn't played that way. The only time where I've seen him doing a tactical switch was against Juventus, where we beat them at Turin. That was the only time where we kind of went for a 3-4-3 kind of a setup. Mourinho is not going to change his 4-2-3-1. Someone has to be reborn all over again and then say Mourinho has changed his tactics, nor his playing style. The playing style is simple. Goalkeeper to centre back to fullback to centre defensive mid to fullback to striker. The template is set. There's nothing going to change in that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think he's going to play the way he plays. I'm not sure how he's going to try and do the parts of United that are great, and he's just going to.
But he will park the bus.
He will park the bus. Yeah, absolutely.
He knows this team is all about counters. He's not going to give us space at all.
No, of course not. No. So that's why I think it's going to be interesting to see who starts that game because I don't think James can do a job. But then again, James versus Reguilon, he'll track Reguilon's runs and then counter when there's space, if there is space, if Spurs actually try and attack. But then again, you've got Son, who'll go down the left-hand side. If he goes down the left-hand side, Wan-Bissaka's got him. If he goes down Spurs' right-hand side, I think Shaw has him, but he doesn't have quite the recovery pace to deal with Son. Son's
more than Son, right? If Son gets inside the box, Kane does too. That's my worry.
Yeah.
So if Son gets inside the box alone, I'm fine. You can tackle him, you can win the ball because he's very nimble, so you can just push him off. Yeah. But if Kane gets inside the box, even if he sniffs half a chance, right? Whoever starts at the goal, Henderson or David De Gea, they've got a lot of work to do. And also set pieces. Mourinho's team is usually very good in set pieces.
Yeah. Well, I have a stat for you, actually, is that every time Kane has scored against us, we've lost.
Okay.
That is 100% true. We lost 6-1, obviously. The 3-0 again.
Yeah.
3-0.
The header which he scored from Musa Sissoko's corner.
Yeah.
Was not Musa Sissoko. Who was it? Dembele's corner.
Was
Musa
it?
Dembele's
Okay,
corner.
That was the 3-0 Mourinho's final season. Then there was what was it? 2-1, 16-17, and that was it. That's the only times he scored against us. He only scored 3 times in 3 different games even. But they've all been losses, so that's the thing. Big game player, really. But let's talk about team setup.
Yeah.
Firstly, I think we know what the back four is and the goal. So if it's Dean Henderson in goal, then it's going to be Shaw, Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, and Lindelof. I don't think that's changing.
Correct.
The question is, who is in the midfield? We know Bruno starting. We know Rashford starting. Who's up front, right wing, and the midfield? Who do you play?
I have a very weird feeling that, not a weird feeling, when I know what the midfield is, it's going to be Fred, McTominay, Bruno. That 3 is not going to change. Mourinho will, for Mourinho's team, Olev is not going to change his pragmatic approach against big games. Because in all the big games, we know Fred, McTominay will start because that back four needs extra support. A cushion. Someone where they can just push off and run. That sort of, players what Fred and McTominay are. That is there. Now I know up front Cavani will start. I don't think Cavani is getting benched. Cavani will start the game. On the right-hand side, now this is where my challenge comes. Is it going to be Greenwood or is it going to be James? Which means Pogba is off.
Yeah.
And right? So I don't know who will I put. If Rashford does not start tomorrow, I will start Pogba on the left-hand side and Greenwood on the right. It's not when Pogba plays on the left-hand side, it's not like a left winger. He plays as a left midfielder who can run to the wings. But still, he always covers his man. Because the distance is up front, right? It's not behind. If it was back, I know Pogba will not track back. Since it's ahead, he'll always track back. So my 11 would be the back four, which you mentioned: Fred, McTominay, Rashford, Greenwood, Bruno, Cavani.
Okay. Yeah. No, I think I'm absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. I think that's absolutely the right way to do it. But the way
not James, not Daniel James is an impact player in such kind of games.
Yeah.
But apart from his pace, I don't think he's going to add anything else to this squad, like this particular 11.
The pressing part, the counter attack is excellent.
But in a Mourinho's in a game against Mourinho, you don't need to press because he's not going to attack you. He's going to just sit back. So I'm going to waste Daniel James's pace. But I know Daniel James will be a key player at the 75th minute when Mourinho's team is tired.
Yeah.
That's when you hit him on counters. Because either Ben Davies or Regular, whoever plays, right? They both are going to be susceptible.
Yeah.
And Serge Aurier, of all the people, right? It depends on his mood. On his day, he can be Cafu, and then on the other day, he can just be Serge Aurier. So it totally depends on him.
No, absolutely agree. Interesting thing, just going back to the City Leeds game, it's still 1-0.
Yeah, 63rd minute.
Yeah, Leeds have had one shot the whole game. The attacking brilliance of Marcelo Bielsa has led to one shot. The City have had, I think, 3 shots.
You don't like Marcelo Bielsa, do you?
I mean, no, I do. I just think that Leeds get a lot of praise for getting smacked 6-2 and all sorts of things. But they're a good team. They're exciting to watch most of the time. I like watching Leeds. I think he's done a great job to make this squad a top 10 side. But they get a lot of praise when they lose, which
unnecessary praise. Okay,
unnecessary praise, which annoys me.
With the same praise Nuno Espirito hasn't got.
Yeah, well, yeah, and he plays great. He plays smart football with great players, and that hit from
with limited capabilities. Let's not forget it. Connor Cody can never play for England. He's not got that great kind of a centre back kind of a quality. He does not have it.
Yeah,
but for Wolves, he's a leader.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the reason why he played for England now.
Yeah. That's that. Some questions over the England squad, which we'll talk about probably in a different podcast. We can spend an hour doing that. But prediction for tomorrow.
Sorry to interrupt. One question before I actually give you the prediction for the Spurs game. But you know what? I'll give you the predictions for the Spurs game. I think it will be a 0-0 draw.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. But I'm going to try. I'm going to try for a 2-0 win because I think we could do it. Don't know whether we will, but we could.
Yeah, I had this question for you. You said that we need to sign a right winger, which is Jadon Sancho or whoever. I should not mention his name. If Grealish was available in the summer, would you prioritize him over Jadon Sancho?
Depends, actually, because I think Villa is obviously, I think they had that great run at the start of the season, but I think as good as they're going to get is going to be a top 10 finish. I think
Correct.
they're not better than...
Absolutely.
They're
not going to come in top 4.
Yeah, they're not better than the big 6. I think Leicester are also better. Everton are better. Who else? West Ham, decent. I think the same level as West Ham.
J-Lings.
Yeah.
The J-Lings magic.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I think...
They aren't better than Everton. They aren't better than Leeds. So top 10.
Yeah. I think Grealish could be a great signing. I think if Pogba does go, I would like Grealish to be signed. And you play him, because Grealish can play anywhere. You can play Van der Beek as an 8 as well. He could play that role. And Grealish could also play that role, I guess, in a game where you only need one DM. So it's just one of those kind of things.
If you don't sign Grealish, right, Arjun, then I know which club is going to sign him.
City. Yeah.
Then just think about their midfield.
I don't want to. I don't want to. We had another question or statement, really. Suraj saying one of Wolves' main forwards has 0 goals and assists for over a year as well, which actually did break yesterday. He scored against
Adama Traore.
Yeah, but
did you see the goal? He went to the far right corner and just smacked it.
Absolute rocket. Yeah, but it's right. He didn't have a goal or assist for a whole season, and they're still doing relatively well.
But that's Wolves' style of football, right? I mean, they don't depend only on one player for the goal. They are okay with Joao Moutinho scoring it. They are okay with Pedro Neto scoring it. They are okay with Willy Bolly, who was giving great points in FPL for people scoring it. So they don't mind. And Adama Traore was, with all the oil and baby oil and whatnot, I think is good enough for Wolves. So not a player which recently I read a link that Barcelona wanted to sign him because, I was like, really? Like, if there's one club in world football which is in much bigger mess than Man United, that's Barcelona. So,
although he does fit our counter-attack football. To be fair, he does fit the counter-attacking football. But
for that, they have multiple issues to fill.
Yes, they have defensive issues to sort out. Let alone
they also have an issue in their attacking front. There's an issue with their attacker. LM10. His contract ends in May.
He's going. I think he's going.
Yeah.
I don't see him staying because
I hope he goes to Argentina, because I really love that Argentina players should go back to Argentina and play for their boyhood club. Premier League is very hyped, Arjun. I don't think. Premier League is so hyped. Just don't come here.
Yeah, no, and blue's not a very nice color on him anyway.
Yeah, true.
I like blue.
But just imagine if he signs for this Guardiola team with Kevin De Bruyne behind, Bernardo Silva, Fernandinho, and not to forget, Riyad Mahrez kind of a winger. Man, I just don't want to watch Premier League anymore. I'm like, you're just doing what Bundesliga does for Bayern Munich. You're just giving him title.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're still losing now, so, they might win.
I really hope it stays like this.
Yeah. If they bottle the Champions League as well, because they're in a good position for the second leg in Dortmund. So I think, if they bottle that, then that's.
If Haaland scores against them, right? If Haaland scores against them and Dortmund win, City are 101% going for Haaland. Even if Guardiola says that they don't have money for 100 million striker, no, he will go for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you worry whenever City try and improve on the side that's already doing so well at the moment. You think, well, how are they going to improve? I mean, you think about, when they were the Centurions, they didn't really do much to improve that side. They didn't add anyone in particular that I can remember that was of any. I think maybe Mahrez was the one player they added. Then when they won again, I don't think they added anyone in particular either. I think they added Cancelo and Rodri. I think that was
the most funniest deal, that Danilo off and Cancelo in.
Oh yeah, that was weird. I don't know why Juventus decided that. That was stupid. But and then they did that, and then they dipped, and now they spent 100 million on their defenders over the summer, and it's worked. But there you go.
I don't know, Ruben Diaz. I mean, why can't we see these players?
Well, we didn't even link for him for years. We just didn't buy him.
Did we?
Yeah, we've been linked. We've been linked since Lindelof's been linked.
Ruben Diaz. I didn't know that. Okay.
He was a youngster there, I think. Let me check. I think he was a youngster in Benfica, along with Ruben Diaz and Ederson, actually. But let me check. I'm pretty sure that we've been linked with him for a while. We were linked when.
He was their academy product.
Yeah. He came into the academy in 2017. He came in to replace Lindelof.
Ooh.
So we bought Lindelof, and he replaced Lindelof.
Yeah, 2017. Yeah, we signed Lindelof in 2017. So
yeah. So there you go. I mean, Benfica, Sporting, and Porto have some of the best academy products I've ever seen.
Yeah. So, Porto as well. Yeah, true. So, and also not to forget Sporting Lisbon.
I said all three.
Oh, sorry, I didn't. Yeah,
it's all right. It's fine. It's but they bring good play. I mean, the likes of Ederson, Di Maria, and Lindelof and Diaz have all come from Benfica. Sporting, we know who Sporting have had.
Yeah, we don't mention about that kid anymore. Doing well in Italy for himself. So
yeah. Well, and then Porto have had some great players too. I think Quaresma is one of them.
We signed Nani as well, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Nani, Bruno, Rojo.
From Porto, we have Anderson, the Golden Ball Award.
Yeah. Eric Dyer came from Sporting Lisbon. It's not even a joke. It's not even a joke.
I know that, but I remember he scored on his debut game. He scored on his debut. Yeah, Eric Dyer scored on his debut. But yeah, I still don't know how does he get selected for England all the time, Eric Dyer. So
yeah, it's baffling.
Bang average player. He's bang average. I have no clue how the hell does he get selected for England.
Well, I mean, Jose wanted him at United.
Yeah, Jose wanted Raul Mireles as well.
Yeah, 50 million for Eric Dyer apparently. Anyway, we'll go on to the second tie against Grenada. Chance to rest players, like we said. Big chance to rest players. Obviously, Shaw's not going to be playing, so it'll be Tellez. Maguire's not going to be playing, so if Bailly's not fit, it's going to be Lindelof and Tuanzebe.
Yes.
And then it'll be Wan-Bissaka still, because no one can. He's just on his own. But then if the game's comfortable, maybe Williams will come on at half time or something like that. But and then again, no McTominay either. So I mean, how do you see the midfield panning out? Because I think that's going to be the interesting one. Midfield.
I think Fred and Pogba will start that game.
Okay, not Matic.
No Matic. Okay. Because I don't want the game to even get half an inch, because Matic is slow now. He's just worsened.
Yeah.
Right. I really hope that Bruno Fernandes and Rashford do not play that game at all.
100%.
I hope they get. I should not say this, but some flu or something. So they're just rested, because even if they're 10% fit, right, Ole will play them.
Yeah. No, what's going to happen is they're gonna oversleep. They're going to not turn on their alarm clock, and they're just not going to. So, oh no, we now have to be rested. Oh dear. But anyway,
Or some discipline issues where Ole says you're not playing it.
Yeah. I'd like to see Donny start. I'd like to see Mata, Greenwood, and James.
Correct. I exactly wanted to see the same. Mata, Greenwood, and James, because that's a forward lineup which has got poise, class, and a bit of raw talent. And perfect time to experiment and see what happens. Because what Juan Mata brings to the squad is underrated. I mean, he can unlock defenses, what David Silva did. Juan Mata is a better version of David Silva, just that he does not have pace, and we played him on wings. People consider him as below par. David Silva didn't have great pace, but Pep used him to brilliance, where his pace was never questioned.
Yeah. Well, the person that's watching us, Suraj, he said many times that he doesn't want to see Juan Mata on the wing anymore.
Juan Mata wing is a liability.
Yeah, absolutely true. But then you play what? You play Mata at 10, Van der Beek false 9 kind of thing, James one wing, Greenwood the other. Okay, well then that would work for me too.
Because I don't think Greenwood is still ready to start as a striker, and that's too much pressure on the kid, and he's not having a great season as well. I mean, it's a very average season for him. In fact, if I go ahead and say he's had a very below average season in terms of numbers, but his footballing skills have developed. He's become a much better player. Numbers may not quantify it, but having said all of that, I don't want to put him the pressure of being a number 9 of United and does not score against a team who's having the worst form, and then that can affect you mentally more. Yeah,
for sure. Well, with that team, do you see us holding on to the 2-0 lead? Do you see us comfortably getting through and scoring a few passes?
I have this weird feeling for that game, Arjun, that for the first half we are going to be a 0-0 kind of a game if we go with that lineup.
Yeah.
But in the second half, after 65th minute, when the team sees Bruno and Rashford warming up, that's when Donny van de Beek will wake up and say, you know what, my place is going to go again. I rather step up. And with that, we also introduce Amad Diallo and we'll win the game 1-0. That's what I think.
All right. It's just turned 1-1. Ferran Torres has just scored. So come back on for City.
My goodness. Didn't want to know
they scored with their 24th shot.
Yeah, you can see what it means to them now. So,
yeah.
Wow. Think about this, right? We are not bothered about their draw. We want them to lose. That's the standard which they're set. Earlier, if they drew, we're like, okay, fine, 1 point drop, 2 points drop. But now they're just far too ahead.
Yeah. Well, if they draw all their games for the rest of the season, we could win the title if we win all of our games. So let's see how that turns out. Yeah, that's obviously what happens.
Good hope.
No, I agree. I think we could cruise it if we play professionally. We beat them. If they want to counterattack us, then that could be an issue.
Yeah.
But if they try and start further forward and leave space, then we're going to rip them apart, because that we saw that at the end of the game. We had James had so much space to go into. He was absolutely fine throughout. So I could easily see United winning the game if they go for it from the beginning. But if they play their football, try and counter with like Marquis and Soldado, then they could get something. But I don't know. It depends on what they'd rather focus on, because I think they're eighth.
I think, Arjun, to be very honest with you, I don't think we're going to think much about that game, because our eyes will be on Premier League more than Europa at that point of time, because it all depends on the Spurs game. Yeah. Because if we come back with a victory at Spurs game, right, then Granada are in for a thrashing.
Yeah. I absolutely agree. I think they're going to, when you have a team that's in form and that is playing well and that is doing well, they want to just keep going, and they don't want to sort of, we've won this game and we're doing really well, so let's just mess about for the rest of the game. They've got, Grenada have also got like crucial games up next. They've got Valladolid and Eibar and Sevilla next, and I think they're 8th in the league, if I'm not mistaken. 9th now. Okay, well, they're 9th in the league, and they'll want to get back into Europe because it will show progress from last season. So, they'll want to focus on that, you think, if they think this is a dead rubber. So they might just rest a few of their players. Bless you. Sorry. But yeah, so it just depends on what happens in the game. But I can see us rotating a lot, but not too much. And I can definitely see them maybe having other priorities. You never know. But I'm predicting a 2-0. What about you?
I think 1-0. I'll be happy with the 1-0 as well. But I hope that we don't face Roma. We don't face Ajax.
We have to face Roma or Ajax.
Oh yeah, the draw is out. We have to face Roma or Ajax, right?
Yeah. I don't want to face either of the two teams we will definitely face.
I was just saying, I don't want to. I'm okay to face Slavia Prague again. When I say again, I'm okay to face them because an unknown quantity, right? So there's some expectation. But Roma and Ajax are like, no man, not them. A former United player, no.
It's just one of those things. It's just going to happen one way or the other.
And then Chris Smalling will make everyone believe that this is what I offer. You never wanted me.
Yeah, no, he'll score. From a Mkhitaryan cross, obviously.
Okay, fair enough.
Oh, dear. Pain. But, the thing is that it is 2 legs this time. That's the one thing. That they're 2 legs. It's not just like that one game sort of, we'll see what happens.
It still doesn't bother PSG, so they still scored.
Yeah. Well, actually, you know what? We'll would have had, if we'd had time, we would have talked about the Champions League. But just quickly, Champions League winner from the last 8. Who do you think?
I think Bayern Munich will win this time.
You think they'll come back and win?
Yes.
And they'll win
this was the Bayern Munich without Robert Lewandowski.
Okay.
Add him into that squad and see the difference.
But he's going to miss the second leg too.
I don't think so. I think he'll be fit
for next week.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if he is, that'll be.
Yeah, that's what he started light training. Light.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. Even if he plays for 15 minutes, right? The game can change.
Yeah, for sure.
So I have a weird hope that City will win and then they'll bottle the semis.
What, against Bayern?
Yeah, against Bayern. So they'll bottle it. In terms of Chelsea, Porto, the game is done. Sorry?
Who's going to face Bayern in the final then, if that's your prediction? So is it going to be Liverpool, Chelsea, Porto, or Real Madrid?
I think Madrid and Bayern.
Oh, okay. I think it might be Liverpool. I think they're going to turn it around.
I don't think Liverpool. Very honestly, because Real Madrid are not pushovers.
Yeah,
So,
well, yeah.
and
They've had a
Liverpool
weird
were
season
battered
too.
against Madrid. They were just absolutely battered. And
Yeah.
Madrid conceded the goal, which wasn't a very great goal of that sort. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be a hell of a job for Klopp to turn this Liverpool to beat Madrid. As much as we all know that Klopp is one of the greatest managers, I
Yeah.
hate to say it, but yeah, it's going to be difficult for them to beat this Real Madrid team, especially with Zidane and his record in Champions League, right? So,
yeah, it's going to be difficult. That I don't doubt that. But
because
I
the
think,
Chelsea Porto game is done. I mean, virtually it's done 2-0 until unless they really do what Chelsea has done to Napoli in the Europa League kind of stuff, right? I don't think this tie is going anywhere.
Yeah, it's going to be a 1-0 win, I think, for Chelsea. I think that one. But anyway.
I think they'll win 2-0 again. The Porto defense was clueless against Chelsea.
They're a decent team, but like,
they weren't good enough to beat Juventus, but Juventus bottled it themselves.
I know. Their own mistakes. Penalty and a free kick that should never go. It never happen in anyway. But
that's and it's a dangerous position like that, not happening. So I still think it will be Bayern's tie to lose, even against PSG now. And the 3-2 score does not tell you that Bayern played well, but of course they're degraded from what they were last year, no doubt about it.
Yeah,
I think the only player who's improved more than what Bayern Munich as a club has improved is Robert Lewandowski.
Well, I mean, I like Kimmich. I like Joshua Kimmich, but
yeah,
we are. Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to cut you off. We've run out of time, I'm afraid. But thank you for listening and thank you for joining me. We've covered so much stuff, and it's been, after a shorter podcast last week, it's been great to sort of cover everything we want to cover. So thank you for coming on again. If you have any questions or any topics you'd like for us to discuss next time, please comment below on the live chat or on the Twitter poll. And if you enjoyed this, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and follow